How's it going, guys? Well, welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to Forgotten Trace, Thanatos and Nostalgia. I think that's how you say it, right? Thanatos. I keep wanting to say Thanos. It's gonna be a running theme for this whole, experience, trust me. Alright, so last time we were here, so we had a really powerful, really engaging intro. Then we had, a slapstick, 180 flip in a completely opposite direction and tone. And now we've kind of smashed back into the middle. We introduced she's the queen. She's apparently worship. She has a fan club, and she dates Mr. cheat on you, Mr. Boy Toy, Mr. I'm gonna just do whatever the heck I want, and I'm an idiot. But I'm gonna be everyone respects me in class kind of individual. I don't like him. I don't like him at all. The best friend is very much. But we got to see a lot of very interesting stuff, especially right towards the end, where the class kind of rallied around our main character, wanting to help him be happy, wanting to see him succeed, wanting to see him becoming involved, and all because they're worried because he used to be so involved, so active, so interested in things, and then he got injured, and the injury took him out of the soccer team that he was kind of the star student of. And I got to express a little bit about how I went through something fairly similar. Granted, again, I've never been very sports inclined. Just never was a big thing. I played lacrosse. I enjoy watching baseball games with my friends and family. I tend to kind of follow basic stuff because I grew up, my dad loves sports, especially American football. He's a huge fan of that. And so I've always been around sports and I have an appreciation for them, but I've never been all that excited about them. So for me, having my life-changing leg injury, my knee injury, that was it was shocking. It affects me still to this day in a lot of ways, but he's got it worse because he might have even been anticipating, getting scholarships and maybe trying to go pro someday. His future, at least for the immediate 10 years, was likely to be heavily shaped and impacted by soccer, something that was now going to be stripped away from him. So it's a lot worse for him, but he's facing a lot of darkness. And one thing that's really interesting, I've been reading a lot of Brandon Sanderson. I always do that, and I always bring him up, I know, but bear with me here. One of the things that Brandon Sanderson does really well is he tackles mental ailments, situations, and points of view really, really well. Different, I don't know, in the most recent book, Rhythm of War, we've seen fantastic representation for the long-term effects of depression, real diagnosable depression, suicidal thoughts, and trying to overcome and understand what those are, how they work, and how you can help yourself and each other when facing those types of challenges, because unless you're experiencing them, there's not a whole lot we can do, because most of us can't truly relate with that. I recently got to a part that described asexuality, something that a lot of people don't talk about, but it's an actual thing. As a matter of fact, I have a friend from high school who's asexual, and I was really excited to kind of reach out and be like, hey, read this book. It talks about these topics. I wanted to know your thoughts on it. Do you think this is an accurate portrayal? Or is this something you could resonate with? It was just really cool to be able to see that point of view in such a way that was very understandable. I got it. It made a lot of sense. And there's lots of other approaches and points of view and states of mind that people go through that are portrayed in these different stories through these characters that we can know and love. And so that's one of the things I think I really want to keep an eye on here, because I'm hoping that this series will also do a good job of helping us get into the shoes of somebody who might be feeling emotional strains that we ourselves might not be familiar with. Granted, we all feel sad, we all can get depressed, we all can find ourselves, experiencing these raw emotions, but it seems more like he's suffering an actual depressed state, something more clingy, more tangible, and long-lasting. But he's in a lot of denial about it. And the worst thing about these types of conditions is how, you can seem so normal and yet not at the same time. And a lot of times it can even be hard for you to feel like you need help, because most of the time we just assume this is just how we're supposed to feel. It's a really interesting conversation. It's one I think we need to have openly. Whether we experience it or not, it's something that is worth thinking about, talking about. So I'm going to think about it and talk about it. And one of the things I'm thinking about is the fact that he'd mentioned right at the beginning that part of him wishes he didn't exist anymore. And that's not something to be invalidated. What is it like to think like that? A lot of people have those thoughts at one point in their life. I have yet to really be at that step. I've never had to stand at that threshold before, but it's not like there's a really good chance a lot of you have. And it's really important to be able to talk about these types of things in a way that's wholesome, that builds people up, that helps people understand, like, that we're not just trying to say tropey, catchy lines, but the fact that we're trying to understand each other and, like, be able to move forward in life and understanding and better be able to support each other through the darkness and the cloudy the weeks and days and years, because we all need help sometimes. And it's not a weakness to run or reach out, and it's not weak to want to be better at helping other people. Like, that's really the big golden ticket right there, is like, we should help each other, and it's like one of the biggest signs of just being a successful human. It's not money, it's not power or influence, it's about being a decent person, I think. That's what I hold as the standard. Anyway, so that was a big rant. But anyway, we're jumping in here. We're going to see how he does. He's kind of been forced to confront the darkness, and he's pushing people away because he hates it when he feels like people are just trying to buoy him up and make him cheerful again and bring him back to the old him, because in his mind, that person is dead. And in his existence, that person is already gone. And you know what? He might have a point there. When you have a life-changing event, you can't just pick up the pieces. You become a new person. That doesn't mean you're an inferior person, or that person that you lost, or the aspect of your life that you lost, like, it's sad to see it go, but it's not the end of everything. And that's the struggle he's probably wrestling with, is that he's not sure if he can move forward anymore, or if he even wants to try. So yeah, we'll have to see how this plays out. I leave the classroom, then head out of the building. As I thought, it's chilly outside. Perfect, I can cool my head off. I take a deep breath and suppress the feelings of irritation. The cold air makes its way through my chest, and it feels good. So it's already October. I look toward the grounds next to me and see the soccer club fully engrossed in practice. Mid-October is when the second game of the National High School Soccer Tournament takes place. It seems we won the first round, but how will the next one go? That's why, huh? That's why they're fully focused on practice and can't participate in the school festival. However, why did I come here? My legs had started to move on their own before I realized it. This should be the thing I wanted to see the least right now, so why? My eyes won't leave the soccer ball. The ball travels from person to person. A pass connects, then the ball heads towards the goal. The moment that ball gets kicked towards those goalposts, everyone watching gulps and their emotions run amok. That moment is the best. I love that moment. Soccer was my entire life. It's been a year since then. My cat is crying in the background. I don't know why. Miyu said it. To do soccer again. She doesn't know anything, and and said it so easily. That's why I couldn't let it slide. To aim for your dreams again? And how difficult it is to become a pro. She doesn't understand those things. So yeah, his sights were targeted on. He fully thought he had a shot at least getting into the minor leagues. He really thought he was on that track, and it sounds like he might have had something there. Like, it seems like they might have breezed through qualifications last year, because he's talking about how, like, oh, now they have to work really hard. It's implying that when he was on the team, he literally was helping carry them through those goalposts. Like, and now they're gone. And like, he's absolutely right. You take a hard enough injury, like I said, like, I can never safely do so many of the things I used to do. Like I said, it's one of the ones I never bring up, but again, I used to ski all the time with my dad. And now skiing is like one of the highest risk things I can do. And so that part of me is gone. And I sometimes am sad realizing that with my personal family, as I get older and become, more and more like my father, I won't be able to replicate and kind of follow in his footsteps in a lot of these things that were passionate for him and me. Like things that we shared, I can't share with my descendants. And that's it's sad. It's not the end of the world, but it is a bit of a sad thing. And so like knowing that those dreams can and knowing that that's like it's not something I can just debate about. Like I can take the risk if I want to. I could slap skis on and go, and I can try and wear a brace. It'll make it so I can't go as good. It's like he can't just wear a brace and try and play soccer. But to do it at a level that he wants to, not likely to happen, especially when he's so young. To have an injury this severe, like he might be able to overcome it, but he'll never get back to 100%. Even if I do my best at rehab, my injury has become a weak point. There's a high chance I'll break the same place again. So it's like I didn't even need to say half the stuff I've been saying, but you know what? The thing is that this is my reality, to the point that it's a broken leg problem. I bet you he broke a joint, because snapping a femur, as painful as that is, that can usually be repaired properly. But joints are another thing, and that's what got me. I don't want to experience it again. That frustration, pretending they understand everything about me and saying whatever suits them, that is hard to deal with. Like, they're just trying to be supportive, and you kind of love them for that. But you also know that you just don't want to talk about it, because you sit in your own brain constantly thinking about your injury, the pain, the loss. And for him, it's literally the loss of dreams, not just a loss of like mobility, which frankly, if you've never had to be on crutches before for an extended period of time, you don't know the horror that is suddenly realizing that all the things that you just did are now hard. They take effort. And something as simple as like going up the stairs is so daunting, especially for the first month or two, that like you'll find excuses to not ever move. Like, not because you can't, but because you just don't want to take the 20 minutes it takes to climb one flight of stairs. Oh man, don't even get me started on mobilized scooters in stores. In America especially, there's this trend of people who, because they're so large, will ride motorized scooters in stores that they provide for people with mobility issues. Granted, I've been there. I was massive for the most of my life, and it's something I struggled with all my life until recently. I really have had that's been a bear on my back. I get it, and I know it sucks, and it's hard to move around, and there were people who are much bigger than me. I get it, but you cannot comprehend the fury I felt when I went to the store for the first time on crutches. Granted, like I had to build up my strength just to be able to be on crutches for lengths of time, longer than like 10 minutes at a time. So I finally decided to be brave and go to the store for an hour with my mom. It was like a month and a half after I had like had surgery. And I remember I went in and I was like, you know what, I'll just get on a mobile scooter. It'll be great. And I get on the scooter. I go to get on the scooter. There's no scooters around, right? None of them. They normally had like 4, all gone. So I'm like, all right, guess I'm just on the crutches. I'm hobbling around the store. I'm getting exhausted because, again, crutches aren't that hard to use when you have all your limbs. When you can't use one of them and you have to constantly keep it off the ground, or you feel like you're in excruciating pain and you can't put any weight on it. That's the thing. There are people who sometimes you can put some weight on an injury, no weight on an injury. There's actually a big difference, especially when you have to move around for an extended period of time. And like the strain and the hardship and just wanting to just sit down just for even a few minutes, but you can't because there are no seats in the stores, at least where I grew up. And just like sweat pouring down my face, being miserable within the first 10 minutes, let alone the first 40. And then towards the end is where, like, as I'm limping back towards the register, so ready to be done, to look over and to see somebody who looks like and is capable of walking, because I saw them get up, walk down the aisle, grab food, and go sit back down in the mobile cart. To know that they decided to take a cart, not because they couldn't walk around, but because they didn't like to walk around, you know, like where they, like, I can't hold it against them because effectively we had the same problem, but it felt so much more like obvious. Like, I literally can't use my leg. You just are choosing not to. And like, we might have had similar motivations, and I really shouldn't feel this anger, but to this day, I still feel a burning frustration from that moment. I remember my absolute anger at that time. And the thing is that person had nothing to do with my injury. That person had no idea what was going on for my life. And I know they likely had good reasons for it. They might have had so many problems in their legs I couldn't see. What if they had suffered a similar injury? What if they struggled to walk around? What if their weight was not something that's just from bad choices that they made, but from a disease, a condition, a psychological problem, or maybe an injury like mine that had limited their movements for the rest of their lives, that made it so that they could not combat the weight that they'd gained. I know I should not be angry at them, but the thing is that in the moment, you can't help it because it's just being human. And so he is being human here. It's not that he doesn't recognize that they will care and that they just want him to be better. They want him to feel better. They want him to feel like lively again. But he understands also that because they don't understand what's going on in his life, that in a way it feels like they're being selfish, that he's not being acceptable because he's not behaving the way they want him to. And so he is being told to change. And when he's going through so much, that's a bitter pill to swallow, because I've been there and it sucks. Anyway, this episode is just going to be a big rant if I go on much longer, but I think I've said everything here. I'm not sure if there's many other details that are going to come out, because I think I've shared my entire story pretty much at this point. If you have more questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll happily answer them. And I might share a bit more details, but I'm going to try not go on any large rants now, because this video is like 15 minutes long at this point, and we've clicked the button like 4 times. So I'm going to shut up and go back to it. Pretending they understand everything about me and saying whatever suits them, even if they did intend to console me. If they understood my feelings, they wouldn't be able to say things like, go for your dreams again. Yeah, especially because every doctor he's probably been seeing has been like, you probably shouldn't play more than casually. They're always smiling and having never experienced frustration, hardship, or trauma. I absolutely don't want to hear it from them, even if they are worried about me.
あいつ、Kazuya じゃね?
Kazuya, yeah, that's his name. I keep forgetting. That's when I hear the voices at the soccer club.
あ、七海和也だ。全国大会まで行った。
ああ、あいつですよね。あいつのせいで、サッカー部は。
Fetch, man. Are they really gonna be, like, taking it that way?
バカ、そういうこと言うなよ。Kazuyaだってな。
先輩かもしれないっすけど。
でも最近のあいつ見てるとムカつくんだよな。
Why? Do you think he wanted to get hurt? Maybe. Could it be self-inflicted? I guess it's possible, but I highly doubt it. I can hear them all whispering and all their eyes are on me. And that's when I have a flashback. Oh, we're gonna see how it happened? Is that Ray?
大歓声の中、俺とレイはそこにいた。国立霞ヶ丘陸上競技場の選手入場口で。
Oh wow, so this was at the Nationals.
やっとここまで来たな、和也。
ああ、最高だ。最高の気分さ。
勝てるかな、俺たち。
I mean, heck yeah, but even if they can't, it's still great they got here.
何ビビってんだよ、レイ。俺たちゴールデンコンビの前に敵はないさ。そうだろ
和也らしいな。
いつもと違うレイの反応。まあ、確かにそうだろう。これで勝てば、俺たちはプロとしての道が開ける。
Yeah, dang.
プロのサッカー選手としての道が開けるんだ。心躍る反面、不安もたくさんあるだろう。でも、なんだろう。いつものレイと違うような。おい、本当大丈夫かよ。
は？当たり前じゃん。何言ってんのお前。
またいつもの例に戻っている。やっぱり俺の勘違いだろうか。今日はみんなの思いを背負ってここに来てるんだ。
That's one of the worst things of the social pressure. Like, you feel like everyone's counting on you. That's gotta be so hard to bear, especially if things like don't go your way.
レイ、ビビらずにやってやろうぜ。
ああ。俺たちはこの戦いに何としてでも勝たなきゃいけないからな。
そうだ。この戦いだけは絶対に負けられないんだ。みんなの期待、そして一人一人の希望を俺たちが背負っているのだから。
Yeah, at this level, I mean, imagine it's not just like, oh, the school really is like cheering for us and everything. It's like our potential future careers could be set here, at the very minimum scholarships, like people's like future livelihoods, and like the ease of which they can get things like education, incomes, and like I said, even potentially going into the minor leagues, like hinge on a game like this. It's it's a rare opportunity most people don't even get a chance to try for. You don't want to mess that up. The pressure would be immense. That's like too much for kids. Like, I mean, frankly, it's what we face, and whether we face it so boldly or not, high school, the choices we make in high school are going to leave such a powerful impact on where we're going to go with the rest of our lives. And yet, we have no clue what the heck we're doing. We're idiots, and so naturally, not many of us make decent choices without like either very strict regimental parents that force us to do what's good for us, or having like, I don't know, a greater drive initially. Like, I've seen plenty of high school students who are perfectly driven and preparing themselves for like powerful futures, but most of us are just dumb.
忘れもしないあの感動、そして興奮。誰よりも惜しまず努力した者だけが成し得ることができる最高の夢。
Worked harder and more tirelessly.
ここはプロになるための第一関門だった。全国高等学校サッカー選手権大会
Nationals.
別名冬の甲子園とも呼ばれている。
Is that really what it's called, like in reality, or is this like this version?
プロのサッカー選手を目指す者なら誰しもが追い求める夢。通らなければならない分厚い壁。都道府県すべての高校からそれぞれ1校だけが勝ち残り、そして頂点を目指す。
One from each prefecture and then the top two.
頂点に立てるのはもちろんたった1校。その1校にまで俺たちは王手をかけていた。優勝という名の2文字が頭をよぎる。そう、今日この日は俺にとっての全てだったんだ。俺たちこの日のために今まで頑張ってきたんだ。いつだってサッカーサッカー、そればっかりだった。
ああ、血の滲むような努力あってこそだ。
Oh yeah.
毎日辛い練習にも耐えた。でもそれに耐えられたぐらいサッカーを愛している。
ああ、そうさ。俺たちはサッカーが大好きだ。
It's all that they focused on. God, can you imagine? Like, it sounds like they probably didn't have time for much social lives.
今日は死ぬ気で楽しんでいこうぜ。
Oh, that's a dangerous sentence.
ああ、
ビビんなよレイ。こんなんでビビってちゃプロになんてなれねえしな。
だよな。でも震えが止まんねえぜ。
思い出せ。今までのことも、あの約束も、サッカーへの思いも、全部ぶつけてやろうぜ。
I think the best thing I could say here is like, we got ourselves here. We can keep going because we've got what it takes. We've proven that because we're walking through these doors right now.
お前は強いな、和也。俺も負けてられねえぜ。
はは。今日はみんなに俺のサッカーへの愛を証明してやるぜ。最初は息吹の木を引くために始めたサッカーだった。
Oh wow! So it started with him. Just man, he's really going for that girl.
でもいつの間にか俺はサッカーにのめり込み、サッカーなしの生活は考えられないほどになっていった。
Dang.
サッカーは俺に応えてくれた。ボールに触れていれば触れているほど、どんどんと自分の頭で思い描くプレーができるようになった。
Oh, okay. So he really kind of became like a savant for it. Like it became like everything he thought about and worked on and practiced and practiced. Like, he sounds like the kind of person who would go home and willingly practice. He didn't have anyone telling him because he just wanted to be better at it because he genuinely loved it. God, what a passion. What a good passion.
暇さえあればボールを蹴り、練習をした。
I think that's the key to true talent, is it actually has nothing to do with like natural talent. Natural talent, I think, is simply having the drive to push yourself through. Because all of us suck at stuff when we start, right? Like, that's just the nature of these types of things. You start off crap, and you become really good by dedicating hours. And I think the natural talent is finding something that you are so enjoying that you are willing to like throw yourself into the hard parts again and again and again until you get better. That's what this YouTube channel is for me. Like I said, like, I'm never gonna delete my early videos, even though they are pretty much trash. And I think they have maybe like 50 views max, and they don't deserve it. But they're a testimony to me of where I started and where I came and how many, like, the journey and the lessons I had to learn to get here. It's worth it. I'm not even good at YouTube, but I love it, and I'm willing to put the time in every week to make it happen.
楽しくてたまらなかった。もっと上手くなりたい。もっと。サッカーとずっと一緒に生き続けたい。時には辛い練習に体がついていかないこともあった。監督に怒られ、怒鳴られ、先輩に目障りだとボコボコにされたこともあった。
Harsh, but okay.
でも、やっぱりサッカーを捨てることはできなかった。サッカーが好きで、だからこそ今まで続けてこられたんだ。だからこそ乗り越えられたのだ。レイも俺をサポートした。あいつも無類のサッカーバカで、二人で小さい頃からサッカーをしていた。
Dang, so they've been friends for a long time.
そのせいか、レイは俺のパスを確実に読むことができる。
Oh, that's cool.
俺もレイがどこへパスを放つのか分かるようになっていた。これは小さい時から毎日練習を続けてきた俺たちの努力の証明で、友情の証だった。
Maybe the team mad at him not because he got injured per se, but because like maybe Ray followed him off the team when he got hurt, and like they think that he like convinced Ray to do that or something.
そしてレイだけではない。白金伊吹。
Shirogane. It's weird having a character whose last name is Shirogane in here. Like, I can't help but wonder.
俺にサッカーと出会うきっかけをくれた幼馴染。伊吹も俺たちをいつも応援し、サポートしてくれた。どんな試合でも伊吹は応援に駆けつけてくれた。
カズヤ、レイ、頑張ってね。
Aw, she sounds cute.
伊吹は勝利の女神だった。伊吹に応援されると、俺たちは練習以上の力を出すことができた。そして幼い頃、3人で誓い合った。
Ooh, what's this?
俺たち2人は絶対にサッカー選手になって。
じゃあ私はずっと二人の応援をする。ずっと
Aww.
約束だからね。
3人で指切りをしたあの日から数年が経った。俺たち2人はあの約束を果たすための第一歩を踏み出そうとしていた。やはりそこにも伊吹の姿はあった。
カズヤ、レイ。
おい、伊吹！お前、部外者がこんなとこまで来たら怒られるぞ。
伊吹、何やってんだよ。
Aww.
ついつい我慢できなくなっちゃって。ごめん。
たく。
Don't apologize for that. That's awesome.
その言葉とは裏腹に、レイの口元がほころんでいたのを今でも覚えている。
ねえ、カズヤ、レイ、ついにここまで来たんだね。私。
バーカ、何泣いてんだよ。まだ優勝できると決まったわけじゃねえだろ。気が早いんだよ。まったくお前ってやつは。
だって私、嬉しいんだもん。
Aww.
本当に。
だよな。とうとう俺たち。レイも緊張の面持ちで俺の目をまっすぐ見てうなずいていた。
Alright.
あれからどのくらい経ったんだろうね。あの約束から。
そうだな。
あ
和也、お前、この試合に勝って本当にプロの仲間入りをしたら、
I wonder why he says Kazuya. Like, did he never actually want to be pro?
お前、本当に、
バカなこと言ってんじゃねえよ、こんな時に。今は試合に勝つ。それだけを考えるんだよ。何言ってんだ、お前。伊吹の顔がポッと赤くなる。その赤みをごまかすかのように、伊吹は口を開いた。
Oh, what's this, Ibuki?
そうだよね。ここはプロになるための第一関門なんだよね。ねえ、和也。レイ、もし二人がプロになったら、それでも、今まで通りずっと応援しに行ってもいいかな。
Why do you have to ask that?
当たり前じゃん。なんでそんなこと言うんだ？
だって、二人がプロになるのは嬉しいんだけど、でも、二人がどんどん遠い存在になっていくような気がして。
Whew. Dang. Maybe don't drop this bomb right before the game.
私だけ置いていかれたみたいで、本当はちょっぴり寂しいかな、
Ugh.
なんて。
Oh, stabs of the heart.
ばっかだな。俺たちが伊吹をないがしろにするはずないだろ。なあ、和也。
ああ、そりゃそうさ。だって、このきっかけを作ってくれたのは伊吹。お前だろ。
私？
そうさ。お前から始まったんだ。
伊吹、お前覚えてるか？ずいぶん昔になるけど、俺たちよく3人で J リーグ見てただろ。俺の家に集まって。俺たちまだ小さい頃、新垣のロングパス見るたびにキャーキャー言ってたろ。
新垣選手、懐かしい。そう。私、大好きだった。
あいつのロングパス見るたびに、ボールに翼が生えて飛んでるんだって言ってさ。
そうそう。空飛ぶボールだって、よく伊吹言ってたな。
うん。
She sounds very poetic.
そうだね。懐かしい。二人とも、まだ覚えてたんだ。
あの一言から、すべてが始まったんだ。
そうそう。新垣を見てて伊吹が言ったんだよな。俺たちにも空飛ぶボール見せてほしいって。思えば、あの空飛ぶボールからだった。
ああ、俺たちだってボールを空に飛ばせてお前に見せてやるって。俺たちのサッカー人生は。
そんなこと言わないでよ、和也。私の一言から始まっただなんて。私、とても重い一言を言っちゃったみたいじゃない。
Ooh, hey, humble.
あ、その通りだ。
もう、例の意地悪。
お前の一言から始まって、そして俺たちはここまで来た。いや、来れたんだ。
ああ、本当に感謝してる。人生の目標を定めてくれたお前に。
和也。レイ。
伊吹がまた少し涙ぐむ。
Mm.
本当に自分のことのように喜んでくれているのが分かって、レイはもちろん、俺だって、感極まるって、こういうことを言うんだろうな。
Mm.
二人のボール、翼の生えたボール、どこまで飛んでいくかな。
どこまでも。
どこまでも？
ああ、大空高く、夢と希望を乗せて、どこまでもだ。
夢と、希望を乗せて？
ああ、俺たちのボールは、こんなところで地についたりはしないさ。
そうさ、俺たち。いや、この3人の思いが詰まったボールは、これからも羽を休めることなく飛んでいくんだ。
It's cheesy, but it works.
ずっと、ずっとずっと、いつまでも。
いつまでも。
ああ、俺たちはどこまでも飛んでいくんだ。夢と希望を乗せて。どんな困難が立ち向かおうが、俺たちは決してくじけない。
お、すげえ気迫だな。頼むぜ、レイ。
当たり前だろ。俺たちは無敵のツートップ。
Oh, yeah.
最強のゴールデンコンビだぜ。
レイらしいな。
二人の心が一つに重なり合って、 一人一人の夢が大きな夢へと膨れ上がっていくんだね。私、今日、今まで以上に応援するから。
It's so sweet, but we know how bitter it's gonna get.
本当に精一杯応援するから。
二人じゃねえって。三人だろ。応援、よろしく頼むぜ。たった一人の思いがかけちゃダメなんだ。三人一緒じゃなけりゃ。この夢は成し遂げられないさ。な、レイ。
あんなこと言われなくても分かってるって。
その時、またレイの顔が少しいぶかしげな表情を見せた。
Yeah.
なんだろう。緊張しているのだろうか。
It's weird. Like, he can't just be that, like, is he like, he's nervous, but, like, what's he nervous about?
やはり、いつものレイらしくない。今日は全国高等学校サッカー選手権大会。誰だって身震いするさ。強がってるけど、俺だって本当はそうだ。だけど、俺は何かレイに違和感を感じずにはいられなかった。
I don't know what's going on with him.
レイ、どうした？なんだろう。いつものお前と。
そうだね。そうだよね。
息吹が俺の不安を拭い去るように、
ああ、任しとけって。
その返事とともに、レイはいつもの強気な表情へと戻っていた。
It kept implying that there's a lot more going on for Ray. Like, does he know something's about to go wrong? Is he actually worried that, like, they will, like, what will happen if they win or lose? Like, I don't know, like maybe he sees this at the end of his journey, like, with these two, and, like, he doesn't really know where they'll stand when they finish this?
やはり気のせいか。
よし、和也。幼い頃の夢を叶えに行くぜ。今日こそ俺たち、サッカー人生の集大成を見せてやるんだ。
こんなところで集大成見せてどうすんだよ。俺たちの始まりはここからなんだ。夢の始まりも、人生の始まりもな。
I like that attitude, Kazuya. That's very good.
レイ、このまま夢に向かって突っ走ろうぜ。俺の手とレイの手ががっちりと重なり合った。その上に息吹が小さな手をちょこんと乗せる。
Oh,
暖かい。体温の暖かさとともに、二人の情熱と熱い思いが俺の胸に染み渡った。できると思った。俺とレイの実力なら、つながると思った。この誰にも負けない情熱さえあれば、叶えられると思った。
and yet.
レイと、息吹と、俺。この三人の絆が壊れない限り。でも、現実は残酷なまでに、この三人の思いを引き裂いたんだ。この俺たちに、人生はそんな甘くない。
Yeah. Not a fun lesson to learn when you're a kid.
テレビなんかで、偉そうな著名人がさぞ自分が生きてきた証を自慢して、得意げに語りかけるように。
He's got a good point there. Like, yeah, like, sure, the people who make it talk about things like always follow your heart, trust in your dreams, like, never say no, never back down. And in a way, that's right, but at the same time, for every person who makes it on that stage to talk about, like, becoming the famous actor, actress, director, artist, YouTuber, whatever, there's millions of others who wanted that and didn't get it. And who had to make the hard choice to, like, set aside their dreams for the practical, to set aside an ideal for reality. Some people can make their dreams reality, but fate doesn't let us choose who. You can do your best to make it happen, but there's only so much you can do. There's other factors that you can't control that need to be a part of it as well. Or you need to be willing to make choices that kind of undermine your point of view. Like, there are sleazy tactics I could always be working on to try and, like, boost my numbers on YouTube. And not even, like, the super sleazy stuff, like sub for sub or buying, like, views. Like, I'm talking just simple, like obsessing about the algorithm and stuff. Technically, that's, like, the pathway to success. But I don't know. Whilst I try and do things that are smart in that regard, I really don't want to, like, make that a focus. Because the focus is just making what I love. The focus for these guys is playing the game they love and being good at it. But unfortunately, sometimes life doesn't quite give you lemons as much as coconuts. But you can still make a delicious drink out of coconuts. It just takes a different approach. but you might have been really wanting that lemonade.
俺の夢。そしてレイ。伊吹の夢は跡形もなく崩れ去ったんだ。
Aww.
これまでの道筋。人生のすべてを否定するかのように。それは突然訪れた。
I wonder how it went down. It was his knee. It was his knee. I told you. I know these things.
誰か和也が足を。おい早く
And a high-powered soccer kick to the knee. Pretty bad. I had a pretty spectacular bike crash. But like beyond the fact that my leg swelled like 3 times its size within an hour, like he could have a massive deformity. Like his leg could have been like in the wrong direction or something.
医療班何もたもたしてんだおい
俺は致命的な怪我をした。
Fatal to your career, not to your life, right?
試合の最中に膝の骨を粉砕骨折してしまった。
Okay, I wonder if that's exactly what happened to me. I gotta look it up because I don't know what that means. Like, I know what my injury was, but I don't know a technical name for it. So what is that? Commuted knee fracture. Okay. It's a type of fracture that happens when the kneecap is pulled apart from the injury and then crushed from falling on it. Because the bone fragments are too small to be fixed back into place, they will be removed. Your doctor will attach a loose tendon to the remaining patellar bone. Oh, yeah! This is like almost exactly. Like, the thing is, my kneecap didn't get destroyed. That's freaking terrifying, yeah. Oh, gosh, yeah, his knee would not have looked normal. But the joint behind the cartilage kind of imploded and had to be reconstructed. But like it said there, like, the fragments are too small, so they just reattach your tendons as best they can and reassemble it as best they can. But there's only so much you can do to recover from that. Yeah, it's like there's so many different like approaches to fixing it, so it kind of comes by a case by case. But like, yeah, like effectively it's like the best way to describe it is like effectively his knees exploded. It looks like he took a kick that destroyed his kneecap and then fell on it, which then it destroyed his kneecap, fractured the bone, and then fell on it, which only exacerbated it and made it like even worse.
やめろ離せ
No, you can't,
俺は
son.
まだできる
No, you can't. Trust me, you can't walk. You can't even get close to walking.
試合できるんだやめろ勝たなきゃいけないんだ絶対この試合に負けるわけには
バカなこと言ってんじゃないこのまま試合を続ければ、君は二度とサッカーができない体になってしまうぞ
話してくれこれは俺の
静かにしろおい手を貸してくれ
ここは、伊吹の、例の、夢見た場所なんだ負けられねえ負けられねえんだよ離せよ俺は
おい君暴れるんじゃない
離せ
That's way worse than what mine was. Mine was just I crashed on my bike horrifically.
目を開けると、そこには真っ白な壁があった。
Yeah, so he went straight to the hospital. We waited a bit. We covered it with ice and like just waited and then saw that it ballooned and my dad's like, nope, we gotta go to the hospital.
そしてその数分後、俺は痛みで気絶し、担架で控え室まで運ばれたのだと知らされた。
I think he had like his injury and my injury are actually shockingly similar, but he had a worse, like shattered kneecap. That's the difference between them, but holy crap, a shattered kneecap. Yeah. Yeah. He has much less recoverability. He might not be able to not use a brace. I can get away with it as long as I'm being careful. I think he might not be able to ever stop wearing a brace, really.
今救急車が駆けつけているという。
うるさい試合に戻らせろお願いだ戻らせてくれ
暴れる俺を押さえつける手を跳ねのけ、立ち上がろうとしたそ
you
の瞬間、
idiot.
勢いよくその場に崩れ落ちた。
Yeah, you will.
足の痛みでうまく動かすことができなかったのだ。
What
そ
an
んな
idiot.
俺を笑うかのように。
Game over.
試合終了のホイッスルが控え室まで鳴り響いた。聞こえてきたアナウンスで知らされた。
Ah,
結果は0対5。
fetch, man. Oh, no.
俺たちの惨敗だった。俺はその場で泣き崩れた。どれほど涙を流しても、決して涙が枯れることはないと、その日知らされた。試合の途中退場。そして、俺にとっては人生の退場をしたあの日。
I mean, it's like I said right at the beginning. In a way, he did die that day. The vision of who he wanted to be, his pathway forward in life, what his dreams were going to mount to, gone. Dust in the wind. He has a future, and he needs to really understand that there's more to life than his dream. But the person that he thought he was going to become is gone. Even if he gets the best, even if he can get to the point where he can try and play soccer again, he'll never be able to do this. Never at this level, never at this scope. And frankly, he might just want to avoid it anyway. I imagine almost every doctor after the surgery, especially if he's not doing physical therapy thoroughly, which, by the way, is effectively self-inflicted torture. It really feels and there were days after physical therapy that I felt like I would have rather broken my leg again because it's so painful.
ここで俺の夢はついえた。
But if you don't pay that price, he's definitely not going back.
簡単に。泡のように。後から聞いた話だが、俺が抜けた後の試合はみんなが動揺し、まともな試合にならなかったらしい。
Doesn't mean you should get blamed for it. That's the stupid part of people are getting mad at him because he had his knee shattered. It's not like he did it to himself.
中でも一番動揺していたのはレイだったそうだ。俺が抜けた後は魂が抜けたように、ひょろひょろとボールを追いかけるだけで、一度もボールに触れなかったらしい。
That hurts. That really hurts, man.
あの日誓った約束を破ってしまった。
No, you didn't, you idiot. That's the big failing he's got.
大好きなサッカーを手放してしまった。そして、みんなからも、夢を奪ってしまった。
See, that's the darkness inside him talking. That's the voice inside his head that's not quite right. The one that's been imbalanced. The one that's definitely not right.
償っても償いきれない罪だった。
It wasn't a sin. It was an accident.
怖い。サッカーに関わるのが怖い。あの時の絶望と恐怖を、もう二度と味わいたくはない。
There, so yeah, he is avoiding it. Maybe that's why they're angry at him because he, like doctor said, he could potentially come back and he's not. But frankly, having an injury like that, he'd never be quite the same level. No, he might make a good coach. That sounds so sad, but he understands the game and he has a passion for it. He could help lead others to success, but I don't really think he'd be able to do what he wants anymore.
俺はこの時より、夢は追いかけるものではなく、見るものだと知ったんだ。その方が楽しく生きられることを俺は知らされたから。夢の先には、ただただ真っ白い虚無な空間が広がっているだけ。そう。世界に色はないんだ。
There's that darkness again. I think of everyone at school. Do your best again. Take back your dream again. I want you to be spirited again, Kazuya. Aren't I the one who can't do soccer? Aren't I the one who doesn't play soccer anymore? Unnecessary? Everyone's looking at me with expectant eyes, as if to say I can do something more than this. As if to say they wish something of me. They weigh painfully heavily on me. That's an odd way to say that. Those expectations. On the other hand, the looks from the guys in the soccer club on the grounds pierce me. He's just a dejected loser. He's a pitiful loser who lost to his injury and the pressure. It feels like I can hear those kind of whispers too. I start walking like I'm running away from the painful looks. The sad thing is they probably are saying that, freaking douchebags. But seriously, like, I don't understand why anyone can hold against you getting freaking brutally, I don't want to say assaulted, but it's effectively, like, what happened is, like, it's almost like saying it's your fault for somebody coming up and smashing your leg with a baseball bat. It's like, was that really what you did? Like, it's it's not even like, oh, he's in a dangerous place. It's like, he's been playing soccer for a long time. Fetch, man. It's like, how like, I understand they're frustrated because they feel like they had a shot and that shot was robbed from them. I get that because they don't have the talent to be able to pull it off. They don't have what it takes to make it happen. But gosh darn it, don't make it his fault because he had the talent. Don't make it his fault because he was fell to the whims of fate. It's just stupid, but it happens, and that's what's so stupid about it. Cut me a break already. Can't I just be released from this? I've suffered enough. I look through the chain link fence at the soccer I gave up on. That dream world that I see from the world I stepped back from is for me still a nightmare I haven't woken up from. Can't I just be released from it already? Well, I didn't think I was going to end here, but this is actually the perfect place to end, because it looks like we're going to be seeing things from Ray's perspective now. But, ugh. Yeah, this topic got pretty real, pretty raw for me. I'm sorry if it's not quite what you expected from this episode, but yeah, no. Like, our injuries are almost identical. Like, it's really kind of creepy. Part of me almost makes me wonder, because it's such a unique injury. I'm guessing that the writer had somebody they knew who went through something similar, an experience like this, because like I said, the circumstances of this type of injury are very rare. So to go into detail of what happened for me, it was actually really simple. It was a set of circumstances that was so commonplace you wouldn't think it would be so devastating, but it was how it happened that really mattered. So I was riding my bike home with my friends and we were racing. I had a roadster bike, so that's the one with the really skinny tires. It lets you go a lot faster than usual, and so I was booking it pretty solid. I was just putting the pedal to the metal and just gunning it. One of the downsides, in this case, it's not really a downside, but it's one of the features of a roadster bike like that with the narrow tires, is that you can detach the front tire to make it easy to transport. Put it in the back of a car, strap it down to a bike rack. It just makes it easier to do. And it just has a little pressure release on the tire to let you do it. I always made it a risk for someone to steal it, but it was also a kind of cobbled together hand-me-down bike. So if someone stole it, they'd have had to have been desperate. It seems that either I didn't tighten it properly, or somebody was fiddling with it and didn't really understand what they were doing, or a horrific prank gone wrong. Though I don't know. I really didn't get the impression that happened, and the only bullying I had was in middle school, and it was verbal, never physical. And by high school, when this happened, I really didn't experience bullying. I wasn't popular, but bullying wasn't really something I had to deal with all that much. But, so for whatever reason, the latch was undone. Now you can still ride, you have the wheel well, and it's positioned in a way so that even if it's the latch is released, the wheel tends to stay on. You'd have to have an upward thrust of some kind in order to dislodge it. Well, on the way home, in my quick pace to try and be effective in this race. I hit a pretty nasty pothole, like a big one. Dangerous enough, but when your tire pops out of its framework while you're riding as fast as you can, and on that bike I probably was going something like 20 miles an hour. I don't know what that is in kilometers an hour, sorry, American here. But it's pretty fast. Like that's what a car typically drives in a neighborhood type of speed. So I was going really quick, and the tire pops out. So I'm falling towards the ground at a very high speed while still riding a bike. So I'm holding handlebars, and like I can't just like crash. Most people at that kind of speed would crash and roll. You might break something, but most likely you'd be really bruised and cut up pretty bad, and you tumble and roll. You know, it hurt a lot, but you dissipate your energy. But because of the way I was falling and the way I reacted, out of reflex, I kicked my feet up to stop myself. And so I landed on my feet, but because of the pothole misshapen ground, I primarily landed on my one leg. All my weight. Remember, I was always a bigger kid. So, plus size me, traveling really fast, suddenly slamming all my weight on one leg. The doctor said it was effectively putting about, with the compounding of the speed and the force of the landing, and the fact that I went from a high speed to effectively a dead stop, all on effectively one leg, I put almost over 1,000, probably closer to 2,000 pounds of force onto my joint in a second. And it was critical rupture point. The joint just could not take it. The tendons, strangely, took it better than the bone did, but the bone just flew to pieces in there. Part of the joint where the tendons latch on, that hold the knee together effectively, just fractured into, like, I think 2 big chunks, effectively detaching everything in my leg and turning it into a very, very painful stick-filled noodle. I just remember, I remember there was like that moment of clarity where like everything goes dark or like silent, and you have this moment, a fraction of a second, that feels like it takes so long. I could feel the popping in the joint. There wasn't pain at first. I just felt the shattering, and I had a clear moment of like, oh, that's not good. And then I had fallen over, and I went immediately into shock, though I didn't know it. I like was in pain, but the pain faded at first. In the panic of being on the road, knowing I'd done something bad, knowing that there was a car not too far behind me. Of course they stopped, but in my addled brain, I didn't know that. And so I crawled off the road with my arms to the sidewalk, where my friends had caught up with me and helped me get my stuff, offered to try and help me, and I was like, no, don't touch anything. I don't know what's wrong, but something's very wrong. The lady came out of her car and asked if I needed an ambulance. I said, no, I just need to call my mom, because I knew she was home. And so I called, and she came and got me. And my friends helped carry my book bag and my violin, because I played violin growing up. And they brought it home for me. While my mom, I crawled into the back seat of the car. Like, they helped hobble me into the car. And, like, without seatbelts or anything, she just drove me home. We limped me inside barely. She practically had to carry me. Again, I was a big kid, so not easy. Got me in, laid me down, put ice on it. She called my dad and said, hey, he got hurt. You need to come check it out. So he got out. He left work early. He came home. Remember, he was in ski patrol. The stuff that we used to do together. He would be on the mountains helping treat injuries. So he had first aid, like, training, like really good aid training. So he came home. He's like, all right, let's see how it looks. And he peeled back the ice pack And like his eyes, I remember they go wide. And he's always been the kind of person of like, let's wait and see. Like I broke my wrist when I was 8. And he made me wait, like, well, not make me, but he waited 2 days because he wanted to make sure it wasn't a sprain before we went in and paid the medical bill to get it x-rayed. But he took one look at that knee, and I remember I could see his eyes, like, go wide. He said, we're going to the hospital. And, yeah, the news wasn't good. Scan, they said, like, it's just debris, just a cloud. Like, it looked like it exploded. It was actually so bad. They couldn't really see and diagnose it with the machine, with an x-ray. So they sent me and got me an MRI like the next day. And like they came back and showed us and they were like, yeah, this knee is gone. And it's like, right, we're going to have to do reconstructive surgery on this sucker. It took a month before like I could go in for the surgery. A surgery took 3 hours. And then I was on crutches after surgery for 9 months. I couldn't take a bath for the first 2 months because the stitching needed to heal. And it was such a slow process because they really had to kind of open up my knee to really get at what to fix what was going on. So I've got pretty gnarly scars on there. Changed everything. And to this day, I still have problems with it. Not only do I have like arthritis in it, like where like it will just ache, especially if I do things like sit down for extended periods of time. So long drives, oh, not fun. If I kneel and then straighten my leg the wrong way, it can lock up and I have to like fix it. Like that's gonna be one of the saddest things about going to Japan. I can't kneel like traditionally. I'd have to sit crisscross applesauce because I can't kneel like that. Physically cannot. My range of movement of my knee isn't complete either. I got most of it. I got the functionality back. But like, I can't make my heel touch my butt without pain. I'm flexible enough for it, but the knee just doesn't, like the joint, just the too much scar tissue and the movement range just wasn't 100%. Luckily, it's like the least used portion of my knee's movement, range of movement that got limited, but still. So I can't do that. Not that it's a huge deal, but it's one of those things where like, it's one of those little things that like, I wish I could do just because knowing I can't is part of the struggle with that. But the biggest thing is the fact that like, I kind of live a daily fear of re-injuring myself because I did in college. I had to have ACL reconstruction surgery because one little goofy slip and my knee just took a dive and like my tendon snapped doing like it wasn't like an injury. It wasn't even high speed. I took a goofy step. I stepped from a curb to the street while I was carrying something kind of heavy and boom, tendon pop. Reconstruction surgery for that. It's not as bad as it can be, and he's got it. Kazuya has it much worse than I do. But it's not serious at the same time. Anyway, a lot of rambling this time from me. But this is like walking down my own path a little bit. So yeah, that's the details, the dirty details. Will it come up in another video? Probably. But this one's just so specific. I don't know if I'll ever go into this much detail again. So thanks for sitting through it with me. Thank you so much for being a part of the channel, sharing this with me. And I don't know, did I horrify you? Is that terrible? Like, is it hard to understand or explain? I don't know. But thanks for letting me chat with you for a little bit about this part of my life. It was interesting. It sucks for something to go for a 15 to 16-year-old go through. Because yeah, that injury happened about a week before my birthday. That was an interesting birthday. It was actually one of the best ones though, because like I couldn't move, and in pure solidarity, all my friends got together. They brought over Xboxes and we linked them up and played 16-man Xbox games. Like this is like the first Xbox, not Xbox One, like the first one. We played like 16-man Halo matches into the night. It still was one of my favorite birthdays, but mostly because they just did it. I threw out the idea of like playing Halo with a couple buddies. And they went around the campaign and they just gathered up every person who like I was like remotely like friendly with, well, not friendly with, but like who was like friends of mine. Many of them had never played, like a few of them hadn't played Halo. Some of them I didn't even know played Halo at all, but it turned out they did. But man, what a party. It was so cool. It's one of those moments where you like realize that your friends really care about you. Like that they really care. It's just awesome. Anyway, for one thing about knowing caring, thank you for the patrons who are, you know, been supporting this channel and who are still supporting this channel. You really are showing me that you care too, and I appreciate that so much. Maybe you're not carrying me through the hallways and helping me deal with the strain of like a fractured and shattered like knee and shattered dreams, but it means a lot that you're here supporting my dreams now. So thank you. And enough sappiness. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, good weekend. Hope you enjoy just whatever life throws at you. I look forward to continuing this next time. Especially because we get to see Ray. Maybe we're going to like Ray more when we see things from his perspective. But for now, let us go. So until the next video, watching me, have to see me in next. I'll see you there.